حالنا عند العصابات.
Buenas tardes.
We walked in among the gangs, and they were locked up. Two gangs that had terrorized an entire nation for decades, feared by everyone, now sitting in the very same place, behind the very same bars. This is what the president of El Salvador did. He changed the entire country, from being the world's crime capital for decades to becoming one of the safest countries on earth today. And it all comes down to one man. This is Nayib Bukele. He's of Arab descent. His ancestors migrated to El Salvador in the early 19th century, and he's of Palestinian origin. His father was known as the Imam of El Salvador. Since taking office in 2019, he has completely transformed the country, and today we're going to see exactly how. This is CECOT prison, one of the most secure prisons anywhere in the world. Today we're going to uncover the full story of El Salvador and step inside CECOT itself. We drove for an hour from the city just to reach it, out past the edges of the capital, until this fortress rose up on the horizon. Back in March 2022, the government declared a state of emergency across the country. In the crackdown that followed, 64,000 alleged gang members were arrested. A new prison was then built specifically to hold them. It opened its doors in 2023. This is CECOT.
El Salvador is under state of emergency.
أعلن حالة الطوارئ واعتقل 64,000 شخص وعملوا سجن جديد مخصص للإصابات افتتح بعام 2023 وسموه سيكوت.
هيو السجن هيو. احنا على بوابة.
We're standing at the gates now. Just look at this level of security. This is known as the prison for gangsters and terrorists, the most feared address in the country. Authorities invited media outlets here deliberately to broadcast the scene to the entire world as a warning to anyone who might dare break the law. Let's go inside. The security measures are so tight that entering this prison feels like passing through an airport, maybe even stricter. There's a full screening process before we're even allowed past the first gate. Look at this equipment. All of it advanced, all of it built for one purpose. This isn't a facility designed for rehabilitation. It exists strictly to contain gang members, nothing more. There are still 2 more gates ahead of us. This is the second checkpoint, a special inspection room where they check every piece of clothing down to the socks. Everything that goes in with us has to be lightweight, nothing that could be turned into a weapon. We move into yet another room. Honestly, it's hard to keep track of how many rooms we have to pass through before we ever reach the prisoners themselves. CECOT is made up of 8 massive cell blocks, each one capable of holding thousands of inmates. This isn't just a prison, it's a security fortress in every sense of the word. Here, high-tech devices are used to verify the identity of both prisoners and prison staff alike. Cameras, fingerprint scanners, motion sensors, all layered on top of each other. Most of the criminals who arrive here come with no identification at all, so this technology is what allows the system to know exactly who's inside these walls. The cameras themselves are advanced enough to run facial recognition in real time. We're getting closer now to the prison cells. CECOT was built directly in response to that state of emergency. Once the mass arrests began, the government needed somewhere large enough to hold everyone, and large is an understatement. This is the biggest prison in all of Latin America, spanning the size of 8 full football fields, with a stated capacity of 40,000 inmates. Inside these walls are some of the most dangerous criminals on the planet, members of the 2 largest gangs in Latin America, Barrio 18 and MS-13. We're about to see them face to face. Very few people are ever granted permission to film inside this place. It's possible this is the first time an Arab journalist has been allowed to bring cameras in here. The prison itself is surrounded by concrete walls 15 meters high, reinforced with barbed wire, watched constantly from 19 separate towers.
MS-13.
They say escaping from here is simply impossible. The security is extreme by any measure. 600 soldiers and 250 police officers are stationed here as guards around the clock.
How difficult
There's a full armory inside these walls. If any prisoner ever thought about escaping, this is exactly what would be waiting for them. El Salvador declared outright war on its gangs, and everywhere you look here, that's obvious.
security
Look at all these weapons. They declared war on terrorism itself in order to make the country safer, and they've clearly gone to extreme lengths to see that through. Then there are the restraints. Leg cuffs. Look at the different types they keep here, designed to bind both hands and feet together at once.
هاي الإيد مع الإجر.
When a prisoner is cuffed like this, you see them shuffling, walking with obvious discomfort. All of this equipment is designed for emergencies, for moments when control has to be reasserted immediately. This is the direct result of that state of emergency. Every piece of it serves one stated purpose: protecting ordinary citizens. The guards themselves have certain privileges inside CECOT that the prisoners will never see. This shaving station, for instance, you might assume it's for the inmates, but it's actually reserved entirely for the guards. They have to be well looked after, considering they spend every working day surrounded by some of the most dangerous men in the world. These are the guards' dormitories. They work a 5-day shift here, followed by 5 days off. And there's even a gym on site. Now we're about to enter the prisoners area, the most important part of this entire tour. The world's most dangerous gang leaders are only a few steps away from us now. Once an inmate passes through this final gate, he never comes back out. We're heading toward the cells. We've arrived where the gangs are held. None of their family members are ever permitted to visit. Both rival gangs have been imprisoned together here, in the same blocks. Between them, they're responsible for the murders of over 200 people, along with countless cases of rape and other violent crimes. We were told that if you make eye contact with them, they'll give you a terrifying stare. Let's see for ourselves. There's a massive number of guards positioned throughout this section. It genuinely feels like the country is at war inside these walls. Every single prisoner wears the exact same white uniform, no exceptions. The lights are never turned off, not for a single moment. They stay on 24 hours a day, so prisoners lose all sense of time and the guards can monitor every cell without interruption. There's no opportunity here for anyone to misbehave. Each cell is built to hold up to 100 inmates, but there are only 80 beds inside. There are no blankets, nothing to protect them from the cold at night. A few of the men are being let out now for a short period of exercise. Prisoners are only allowed outside their cells for 30 minutes a day, and even then it's bodyweight exercise only, nothing more. Every single cell here is packed to full capacity. Walking through it genuinely feels like stepping into a movie set, except none of it is fiction. This is the only physical activity these men are ever permitted. Beyond this, there's nothing else for them to do, day after day. Their tattoos are what give them away. Each design reveals exactly which gang a man belongs to. Anyone found with gang-related tattoos is arrested on sight. The police maintain a full catalog of these markings since every single one signifies something specific about gang affiliation. Some men have tried to alter or cover their tattoos to avoid identification. It never worked. There are nurses stationed here permanently, and a doctor visits every single day to check on the inmates. Medical staff have to be present at all times since none of these men are ever allowed to leave the facility for outside care. There's even a dedicated room where inmates can speak with their lawyers over video call. Full trials are conducted this way remotely because these men will never be transported outside these walls again. Look at all these rooms built into this place. It really is an extraordinary facility, purpose-built down to the smallest detail. We're walking now among members of the two most dangerous gangs on the planet, men positioned to our right and to our left. Here, a guard is going to point out 3 specific inmates and walk us through their crimes. men who were once considered an enormous danger to society. Their tattoos tell us exactly which gang each one belongs to. This first man killed 5 people simply because they crossed into territory his gang controlled. He's a member of MS-13. Beside him, another man kidnapped 4 people, and the one next to him murdered 5 more. And this is only a small sample of the men held inside these walls. A third inmate here is also affiliated with a gang. He killed a young girl who had a promising future as an athlete ahead of her. He stole that future from her entirely.
Their tattoos have made it far easier for authorities to identify and capture men like these. Look at this one. An 18 tattooed directly onto him, marking him as a member of Barrio 18. Many of them carry tattoos of graves and skulls, memorials for gang members who have died. This particular inmate has tattoos dedicated to fallen members of his own gang, each skull representing someone specific. Every tattoo here carries its own meaning, and in the end, authorities managed to capture nearly all of them and place them together inside this single prison. These 2 gangs spent years at war with one another on the outside. Now, they're imprisoned together, in the very same blocks. It's honestly reassuring that I live so far away from here. If any of these men ever crossed paths with me outside these walls in some other life, I'd be in serious danger. These gangs were once bitter, violent enemies. Now they share the very same cell, the same 4 walls, for the rest of their lives. Their entire existence from here forward is confined to this one space. They will never leave it. In the corner, you can see their toilet. That's the extent of the privacy afforded to them. They've been held here for 2 years now, ever since this prison first opened its doors. As soon as CECOT was ready, every one of these criminals was transferred straight here. The guards keep their own faces covered throughout, out of fear that one of these inmates might somehow find a way to identify them and pass word outside, a way to threaten or take revenge on their families. Now, we're heading toward the solitary confinement cells, reserved for any prisoner who breaks the rules. This is what keeps the entire system in line. There's no light at all in here. This is what a solitary confinement cell looks like inside CECOT. Any prisoner who misbehaves is placed here for 15 days straight. They don't even leave the cell for meals. Food is delivered directly inside. Just beans and rice. No chicken. No meat of any kind. Later, I sat down and interviewed one of the gang members directly, a member of MS-13. He told me, without hesitation, that he has killed 30 people. He says he cries every single day and that he regrets everything he's done. But it's far too late for regret to change anything now. He feels the weight of it, but justice still has to run its course. He joined this gang when he was only 11 years old, and now this is where he'll spend the rest of his life, here, inside CECOT. What this president did was bold, and by almost every measure, it worked. When he was first elected back in 2019, his approval rating sat around 50%. But by the 2024 election, he won in an overwhelming landslide, taking 85% of the vote. Why? Because for the first time in generations, the people of El Salvador say they finally feel safe walking their own streets. And that brings us to the end of our tour through CECOT prison. There's a great deal to take away from this story, and from what this president managed to build, however you personally weigh the cost against the outcome.
كثير ممكن نتعلم من الرئيس هذا.